Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we are talking about the 2001 movie, The Fast and the Furious, with our pal Marley. Welcome, Marley.
Hello.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting. I'm like the biggest fan of your show. Thank you for having me on.
Well, we're
to talk about family.
Well, we're the biggest fan of you. And if you want to get to know Marley a little bit better and you haven't listened to our trailer, make sure to pause and go check out our trailer and then come back. Talk about the entire Fast series. And it's a lot. It's a lot. But before we dive in, let's get into some housekeeping. If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here's a few ways you can.
Did you know writing a review and or rating us helps us get more listeners? If you want to be featured and help us grow, head to your favorite podcasting platform and leave us a review.
And don't forget to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform to make sure that you get push notifications to let you know when a new episode is live.
And head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/nomorelateFees. Sign up to be a Patreon bestie like our pal Marley here. And as he can attest, the behind the scenes and the extra footage you get is pretty hysterical.
Top notch. High quality content. I need more Danielle bathing like facts.
Just very staunch opinions on hygiene over here.
Yeah, people need to wash their ass in real life and in fiction, because if they don't see it in fiction, they don't do it in real life.
Representation matters.
It does. Soap matters. But diving into the movie, The Fast and the Furious is about Dominic Toretto as he enjoys the adrenaline of street car racing and his fans treat him like a rock star. After a blazing encounter with the ruthless Johnny Tran, who is also fine, Dom decides to take Brian, a newcomer to street racing, under his wing. Dom's sister, Mia, sees something she likes in Brian, them baby blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Trouble is, neither of them realize he's an undercover cop. He popo, y'all. And Dominic and his rival Johnny Tran are both the prime suspects in a case involving dirty money and big rig hijacking. The movie stars Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Michelle Rodriguez, and Jordana Brewster. It was directed by Rob Cohen, written by Gary Scott Thompson, Eric Bergquist, and David Ayer. It's actually based on Racer X, an article by Ken Lee. And you can rent. It's not free, which is like so fucking annoying. I don't know why, especially with this movie coming out, the new one.
That's why they did that. I noticed like when the movie was like close to release, they took them all off HBO Max, and they're like, you have to purchase for $3.99.
Well,
wow.
But thankfully, I own them all on Blu-ray. So
well, now I own it as well on Amazon Prime.
And I used her password to watch it. So we're all owner of things. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. And then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best, would play and repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
And same-day rental.
The equivalent of Fast 9 or F9.
F9,
F9.
The Fast Saga, the full title.
Oh, Marley, we'll start with you. What was your Y2K rating of this movie?
Well, originally I rented this at Blockbuster, and I like I said in the trailer, like my mom was the one that introduced me to this. She picked it off the shelf and was just like, "We should watch this. This looks like fun." And I'm just like, I don't know. So, and after watching it, like I didn't really resonate it with it all that much. I know I'm gonna shock Danielle here, but
What?
I would say I would give it a two-day rental. Like it's like I didn't really fall in love with this franchise until Tokyo Drift, but I still respect like where I still thought it was like a fun movie, like in 2000, like when I saw it.
Y2K Danielle was not impressed. She was like, there's a green car, there's an orange car. They're hitting each other. They're out in the streets. The cops are coming.
It sounds like current day Danielle.
Anywho, a 2-day rental for me. I did not buy this one.
I went to see this at the Dollar Theater in Coral Springs, and I had a brand new 2001 Volkswagen Beetle,
Ooh.
which after getting out of the movies, I thought I was a race car driver too, and like tore out of that parking lot. I was inspired. When it came out on DVD, I bought it. I owned it. I was family. It was a would buy for me.
Wow.
See, you bring it. I'm really glad you brought that up because Danielle, you've asked this question to me, like, why do they keep making these movies? But what you just said, Jackie, is I think that's the reason why. Because the cops got to have their quota. They'd be like when these movies come out, people feel like they have like they want to like they want to go as fast as possible. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you have like cops just sitting outside the movie theater when these movies come out, waiting for people to like drift out of like the movie theater parking lot. It's
there goes another F9. Let's get them, boys.
I was fast and I was furious.
All right. Well, let's talk about the box office. One thing, so Jackie and I had to watch Point Break for another podcast that we were guesting on. And I saw someone talk about this on, I think on like Twitter, and they were just like, the Fast and the Furious is literally a Point Break. And so after we watched that and now rewatching this, I would have to say, hell yes, it is.
It's Point Break.
It is.
BRAKE.
Did I say blank? Did I say blank or break?
No, he was making a play on words.
Oh, because I kept saying in my head, don't say blank, because I kept thinking blank check. It's a whole thing. Sorry. Yes, it is a break.
A break. It's a break as in brake pedal. That's where the thing on the car that makes you stop, Danielle.
I don't know what that is. Green means go. I don't know about stopping. The movie had a budget of $38 million and made $207.3 million worldwide. That's a lot of cheddar. I can get a lot of, what is it, Nas?
Yeah, Nas.
That money.
A lot of Coronas too.
A lot of Coronas. A lot of
tuna sandwiches, no crust.
Yep. Oh, look.
Marley brings visuals.
Yeah. So when they did the test screening for this movie, it did really well in the test screenings, and they were just like really surprised how well it did. And when the movie came out, it was a success here domestically, but they waited to release it internationally to avoid competition. It did not do as well internationally as they thought it would. It did fairly well, but not as big as it does now, obviously. But it was a freaking hit. And as we know, we have many, many sequels.
Well, I don't think that it was a success and the studio was surprised, but I can bet you all the money in the world that these movies have made that I don't think that they planned on making 10 of these.
No.
There was no like multi-movie story arc that was planned.
If you look at the box office, I could see why they continue to just give it a try, because the first movie, like I said, it made a ton of money. And then I think Too Fast, Too Furious ended up making $127 million domestically and $109 million internationally. And then even Tokyo Drift, it made $96 million internationally in comparison to the first movie, which made $62 million. So even though it didn't make as much as like the first two domestically, it still made a good amount of money for a movie that was probably going straight to DVD. So when I guess they reached out to Vin Diesel and tried to convince him to come back and Paul to come back. I think Vin Diesel is really the force behind saying, hey, we're going to make more of these, right?
Well, yes, but at the end of Fast and the Furious, like Vin Diesel was offered, I forget how much money he was offered, but he was offered like a stupid like $25 million to like return as Dominic Toretto, but he didn't like the script for Too Fast, Too Furious, so that's why he's not in that movie. But and it kind of blows my mind, like the money that he turned down for that, because I don't think he would turn that down now. And
I think he wanted to, there were like, he had done Pitch Black, right? Before this movie. And then he wanted to do the Chronicles of Riddick. And that was like, I think it just was his passion project at the time. Like he really wanted to make that second movie. And I think if he had done Too Fast, Too Furious, it would have kind of interrupted that whole situation.
Well, he wants creative control on pretty much every single movie. And Jackie, I kind of have to disagree with you when you said it's like there's no multiverse like plan for like these movies. Because yes, like you're right that there is no plan, but I like to compare these movies to like D&D. Because Vin Diesel, he's a huge nerd. Like if you follow on social media and like Instagram or Twitter, and he's been playing like a D&D character for 20 years. And I'm pretty sure if you asked him, he has character sheets for all these characters in Fast and Furious. So in a way, like no, there's no plan, but there is a plan
in his mind. There's a whole fucking universe.
Yeah,
because like it's also
in the world. Go ahead.
Sorry, no.
Well, I was just saying, like in the world of like D&D, like there is a plan, but it's up to the players to like kind of create like that story. So it's like, yeah, that's all.
And that could be why like he has friction with some people, because like if you have a whole vision in your entire head of how these characters are supposed to be, and you go and do something completely different, I could see where that might like drive him crazy. And it's also very interesting that he has decided to keep Brian's character alive in these, like there's no plan to kill Brian off, even though Brian has passed, Paul Walker is dead, which I don't know if that is just his own grief that he's just not willing to do that, because storyline it doesn't make sense. I guess he's gonna be at home all the time. I don't know.
Stay at home dad.
Yeah.
Stay at home dad. Which I'm totally fine with, to have him kind of continue living on in the universe, because it's like a paying respects to Paul Walker, the person, as well as to Brian. Like Brian's safe, kind of raising his son, and also Paul Walker is still able to live like in this universe.
Yeah.
And I do think it's like a form of grief for Vin Diesel, because if you see like interviews with him and Paul Walker like on YouTube, like the two like loved each other, which is super weird because they're two opposites. They're standing side by side, but I think it's kind of fascinating like how much like the two loved each other.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he named his daughter Pauline after Paul.
Yeah. And Paul has like a literal brother, but I feel like even just their relationship, I mean, I think he's obviously very cool with Paul's brother as well. But yeah, they both consider each other to be extended family. Even their families feel that way. So
Mhm.
I think that's nice. So let's dive in, Jackie. You ready?
We're at a port. They're shipping containers.
Okay.
There's TVs and DVD players in these shipping containers.
Also VCR players. I've seen a VCR player somewhere in there.
And they're the old like tube televisions. That
Yes.
I was like, oh yeah, we used to have those. And then so they're loaded on a truck, an 18-wheeler, and then we see black Honda Civics with green neon light kits under them approaching the truck, and essentially they hijack the truck for the goods. So we start off strong with Ken. He turns to me and says, "This is all believable. You can really do that." As they're like driving under the truck and stuff, he's like, "Not with shipping container trucks. If you notice, the shipping container is up on blocks to make it high enough so the Civic can pass under." To which I replied, "I know. Clark Griswold drove under a truck when he was going to get a Christmas tree." So we started off real good with the fun facts from Ken.
Oh, gosh.
And then we get this odd scene where Paul Walker's character, Brian, is driving. I guess he's practicing. It seems like there's no reasoning. There's no like, it didn't feel obstacle coursey or like a track. He's just driving crazy.
Yeah, what was he doing?
He gotta get that tuna fish sandwich.
So he eventually goes to Toretto's Market and Cafe, but he's not. So when he was driving crazy, he was in the green Eclipse that he races at the beginning. But then his company truck is a Ford Lightning, which Ken was very excited about. And so I asked him, "Tell me about the Ford Lightning." And he said it was the first truck that was made to be like a street racer. And so you could do a lot of engine mods and things to it.
That's
me
a fun fact I
paraphrasing.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danielle, it doesn't get any better.
I'm already bored.
So he walks into the cafe. He wants a crappy tuna fish sandwich from Mia.
What are you talking about?
He wants her tuna.
If that wasn't an allegory.
Mhm.
And then Dom is like in the back and he's just pacing and sweaty and angry. Like I'm like, I don't know what he's doing back there. He keeps glaring out front. Like his shirt looks like he's been wearing it for 5 days.
No shower. No
Yeah.
shower.
Very broody.
And Brian just been watched like Stalker Central.
Mhm.
And just to rewind just a little bit, it's a tuna sandwich but with no crust.
Yes.
Like this is what I love about the Fast and the Furious. Like it's so cheesy. It's so like out there. Like tuna no crust. I can buy a shirt that says tuna no crust on it. So I want to laugh at it so bad because who has a tuna sandwich in the middle of downtown LA like during the summer? It's probably hot and just like
gross.
and gross.
Right.
But Brian's is like, no, I like tuna no crust.
What he likes is a stomach virus, is what he likes. Because Mia, when she goes to make that sandwich, now she done had her hands on that counter for a while and she ain't look like she did nothing. Now, mind you, this store, I know it smells of gasoline and oil and whatnot.
It looks like a restaurant you would find like in the middle of the desert.
Right. It looks like a truck stop.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she goes to make this sandwich, no gloves, no rinsing of the hands with some soap, nothing. So Brian is getting all whatever she been touching with no crust.
I bet you he likes that.
Of course he does. He loves norovirus is what he like.
Which, speaking of that store, I actually visited that store in LA.
Oh, okay.
Fun fact about
it's real.
It's called Bob's Market.
Oh,
I
did you take a
apologize,
picture?
Bob.
Yeah, it's on my Instagram, so
Oh.
people can check it out. So
Nice.
and I was so disappointed when I visited it, and they don't sell tuna fish sandwiches. I'm very shocked.
Oh,
They have
That's
Fast and
a-
Furious merch. but
That's
no.
a big miss on branding. Just
Mhm.
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
tuna no crust.
but continue.
Maybe too many people got food poisoning from the tuna no crust. They had to discontinue selling it.
No
True.
hand washing.
No
No.
hand washing. Did Marley, have you noticed, at least in this first movie, they all have the initials DT on the front of their car?
Now that you bring it up, I noticed it a little bit. Yeah.
I'm like, do they really just have Dom's initials on the front of all their cars?
I
'Cause
feel
they're
like they
family.
just he owns those people. Blind faithfulness to him 100%.
And so we see the rest of the crew, the family pull in. There's Letty, there's Vince, there's Jesse, and then there's the other guy that looks like Vince.
May I just add the most, I want to say, iconic introduction for Letty. She gets out of the car with the gravity boots, with the
Yes.
scowl. She has a scowl on her face, and I'm just like, no lines of dialogue at all. She's just like scowling at the. It's like Rob Cohen basically told her, like, this is your first day on Fast and the Furious. I just need you to look angry. Like,
Yes.
just yeah.
And I believe when she got this movie was right after, was it Girl Fight? Like she had her like a big debut. She played a fighter in that movie. But let's talk about some casting before we go through, because it's very interesting. So Paul Walker was the first actor to sign on. It took some convincing to get Vin Diesel, and he was able to be persuaded after several script changes had been made for him. I'm very interested to see what those changes were. Originally, which I was really surprised, Timothy Olyphant turned down the role of Dom because he had done Gone in 60 Seconds, and he just felt like it would be too similar. But the studio, when they were going to greenlight the movie, they said, if you get Timothy Olyphant to play the role of Dom, the movie's greenlit. So when he said no, they were like, I don't know if we're going to get the money to get this done. Apparently they did. So, but there was a lot of people besides Vin Diesel that they approached. Mark Wahlberg, Christian Bale, Eminem, they were all considered for Brian's role, actually, before Paul Walker was cast. But if they were sticking true to the casting and their blueprint, which was Point Break, then Paul Walker was the only choice, since he's very much a Keanu Reeves blonde version. 100%. I don't know about Patrick Swayze and Vin Diesel being on the same page, though.
Patrick Swayze's got more hair for sure. Definitely more hair.
Patrick Swayze is so dynamic. Like, he could play so many roles. He has more range, I'll say that, than Vin Diesel.
Definitely.
Yeah, he definitely has more range, but I wouldn't necessarily say that Vin Diesel has 0% range in this movie.
No.
He does some interesting dramatic things in this movie that we'll get into. That
I feel like his acting is better in this one than the last one. Anything that comes after.
Yeah, like he's very like Braun in like all the more recent ones. He's actually kind of like acting in these earlier ones instead of like, I'm the tough guy.
Yeah, I think in the more recent ones, he's just phoning it in, and he's like, look, I could fucking pull a rabbit out my ass at this point and people would still come to this damn movie. So,
well, he's like, I just found out he's 55 years old this year, and I'm just like, seeing wrinkles on Vin Diesel now. It's just like, and watching this movie now, it's like, damn, he's old. I'm old too, so it's just like, yeah.
I'm not old. The role of Mia was originally written for Eliza Dushku, but she turned it down. In addition to Eliza, Natalie Portman, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Kirsten Dunst, Bijou Phillips, and Jessica Biel also auditioned for the role. Wait a minute. Sarah Michelle Gellar auditioned for this and y'all didn't give it to her? That don't add up.
Well, from what one of the fun facts that it's not necessarily fun, but like the reason why Vin Diesel wanted to like rewrite like this script is because originally like the cast wasn't as diverse as it was going to be. It was like you mentioned, Timothy Olyphant was supposed to be Dominic Toretto. The original cast was supposed to be all white, and it was supposed to be like a bunch of like gang wars and like very racist. And I guess Vin Diesel, I'm not saying it was 100% Vin Diesel, but I guess someone looked at the script and like, we can't do this.
It had to be Vin Diesel. It had to be Vin Diesel because I could tell you without a doubt the rest of the studio execs wouldn't have given a shit.
You're right. Yeah. But I'm really glad
watching it, like I noted very pleasantly that like they all come together to do these illegal street races and stuff, but they all seem like they get along. There's not really this animosity except for like Johnny Tran and his motorcycle gang. Like all the other mechanic groups, like they're all pals and buddy. And there is that moment when Brian first shows up where you think Hector is going to kind of like front to him or whatever, and then he's just like, oh hey, my name's Hector and stuff. So you get that moment where you're like, oh, is this going to be a conflict? And then it's like, oh no, he's just introducing himself because they're all out racing.
Well, I think another like, I like that you put it that way, Jackie, because this film, especially the first one, like the Fast and Furious, and especially this first film is very LA. Like, yeah, it's all ththese different groups all kind of like just conversing with each other, and like they keep to their certain cultures and groups. But if another one kind of like pops up, they're like, oh hey, what's up? It's very diverse and very like cultural, and just like the way this film looks too, it has like that sort of orange tint to it that is very uniquely LA. Like it just gives like it just makes it seem like it's just very warm and just like, and I don't know, it's just uniquely LA. So
yeah,
and it makes Paul Walker's eyes pop.
Yeah, it does. And it feels very authentic. And although Paul Walker is like a white lead, it doesn't feel like the movie is catering to him and centering him. And I mean, honestly, I didn't see any like stereotypes that made me like cringe, especially like, I mean, they could have gotten anybody besides Ja Rule. I'm talking about from like a racial standpoint. Ja Rule being the leader of the blacks was not very good for me. I was not liking that at all.
I don't think it's good for anyone.
No, it was absolutely awful. And he talks about himself in fucking third person. I'm like, this is weird. Now, what they do fantastic and wonderful for representation from a ethnicity race standpoint, they do horribly when it comes to women representation as like these groupies. I'm not talking about necessarily Letty and Mia per se, even though I don't know if Letty or Mia actually have a conversation with each other.
Let's see.
In this movie,
I don't think so.
I don't think they interact, so that is problematic. And then, you know, that girl that walks up to Ja Rule's car and whatever his name is supposed to be, she's like putting his hand on her breast, so okay, consent, and saying this is yours, and if you win, the other girl is yours as well. And I was just like, what's happening? Because this is weird. But she says she did lie to him because she said it's his regardless.
Yeah.
But then when he loses, she says the N-word, and I'm not 100%, but I don't think that bitch was black. So I was side-eyeing for quite a bit. I had to take myself down. But then I found out that she is from the DVD extras, a groupie who was in Jaw's trailer. So she was in his trailer.
She just hanging out, and then she was in the Fast and Furious with lines?
That bitch had lines. She was in Jaw's trailer, makes a brief appearance in the film as a woman his character Edwin fondled ahead of the drag race. So who
That's
knows what she
wild.
did in the trailer to get speaking credits in this fucking movie.
And what pull did Jaw have to get her this role?
Now I have to say, Jaw had a lot of pull. Remember, this is 2001. This is peak Jaw Rule. Like, he is everywhere at this point.
I will just add Ja Rule peak is just 2001.
It's not just 2001. It lasts for a good 2 or 3 years, I would say. Because like I remember him and Ashanti, both of them hits after hit while I was in college. So at least 3 to 4 years.
At least. And then he has we won't talk about that.
But he really shouldn't have been in this movie. I remember like seeing him in this movie and just being like, he is horrible. He cannot act. And those cornrows need a fresh, like, who let him get on this movie set with these raggedy ass cornrows without like a refresh? I was highly disappointed.
Clearly there was no black hairstylist for this movie.
Well, not surprised about that, but Ja was looking a hot fucking mess, and he couldn't act for the life of me. And when he was losing, who did he screamed that girl's name out? I was like, this is so bad. I would like to vote
Monica. That's what it was.
So if I could change anything, I would like to formally ask for a new leader of the Black Coalition in the Fast and the Furious movie.
Ludacris?
Yeah, so I wasn't real happy about the other two that they bring on it to take over between freaking Tyrese and Ludacris. I was like, Jesus, this is the worst.
Well, I don't know. It's just if you had to pick between the two of them,
between Ludacris and
Tyrese.
In real life, both of them are trash human beings. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm not even gonna say allegedly. They're both trash human beings in real life from what they've put out there in the world. So I'm gonna still say I choose neither.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shockingly, Fast and the Furious does not pass the Bechdel test. Letty passes Mia in the store and asks her how she's living, but Mia does not respond to her.
Jesus Christ. It's so easy. You know what my question is? What movie, by which movie in the series does Mia and Letty actually have a conversation that's not about Brian or Dom? Has that even happened?
Ooh. You're asking me to pull like one out of my head. I want to say
you don't
9.
have to answer right now. Damn.
I want to say 9 because there's a moment, but I think they're talking about Brian in 9.
That is tragic on the highest level.
In 9, Mia asks Letty how she's been doing, and Letty talks about finding herself in her memories after a bout of amnesia.
But is that when
passes?
Yeah, I remember that scene specifically because they're in Tokyo and they're having like ramen, and Mia is struggling to eat ramen with chopsticks. It's a really funny scene to just see. I think it does pass the Bechdel test. I think.
I'm looking at the other
by thin hairs.
But 8 movies later,
so fucked up. Back to the first movie. So
when Toretto's group came into the drag racing scene, you know what thought popped into my head?
What?
because they come in V formation. And I was
flying
like, ducks fly together.
Oh man.
Gordon Bombay in the Fast and
flying V,
Furious.
flying V, flying V.
No, it's flying D for Dominic Toretto.
I was about to say, excuse me, I watched those movies too damn. But yeah, flying D, 100%. Oh man.
So they show up. Brian wants to Letty is not having Ja Rule's groupie up on Dom trying to talk to him, and she roars at them.
Meows. She meows. She's like, "Meow."
And then says, "I smell skanks."
I love it.
Well, she sniffs. She's like, "Skanks." Which I love her first line of dialogue for Michelle Rodriguez is a meow and then skanks.
Yes.
And then Rob Cohen is just like, just throw some sniffs in there.
I think that was all her, man. But their relationship is so interesting. Like, Dom, you know this bitch crazy. Why you keep playing with her? Why you keep testing her?
He's like, "What? I was just talking."
He likes Dom likes women with the rough
Yes.
edge.
He really does.
And Brian then shows up and he wants to race for pink
Papers.
slips. Oh, prior to this, Brian, we find out, is working at Harry's. Is that his name? Yes.
Mhm.
And he goes back to Harry's and is like, "I need all the NOS." And so he's like, "I want 2 of the giant bottles." To which Ken said he doesn't need all that. 1 bottle would last you like a year. So I don't know why he's putting all that NOS in his car. And then Harry says, "You're going to blow yourself up." And then
You drive
his
with a
car
heavy
does
foot.
blow
Yeah.
up.
Oh, we skipped over the fact that Vince actually, because he obviously has had a crush on Mia for a long time. So he sees Brian coming to the store over and over and over again for this damn tuna. And he's ready to fight Brian at this point. And
Vince just being the worst human being.
But he's not wrong. Like,
he smells out a cop
immediately finds Brian's behavior to be sus.
Mhm.
And I mean, I know he's kind of perceived as a jerk, but you have to look. I looked at it from his perspective this time, which was the fact that, like, okay, I've always been kind of like number 2 this whole time, or maybe number 3 behind Letty. And Dom is my best friend. I'm in love with Mia. And here comes this dude who I know is a narc, 100%. Nobody's listening to me because I'm not handling it very well. So yeah, I would be fucking frustrated too that here comes this dude and easily is just becoming best friends with my best friend, stealing my girl. That's not really my girl. That one I can let slide. And I know he's a narc. He's got to go.
I think the thing that I had an issue with this scene is just his use of the F word.
Yeah.
That's unnecessary. It's just like, what? I know it's 2001. But still, like, that's still kind of like I still cringe at that line every single, even though the stuff that happens before he says that, you can get why don't you go to Fat Burger you can get a burger like and fries for $2.99 bleep, like like I think, like, I want to know how much Fat Burger paid to have that line in the movie.
I'm confused.
What?
We're kind of jumping around.
Oh, no. I just figured something out. So the girl whose name is Monica that was in I don't know if she was the one who was in Ja Rule's. I think she's the one who was in his trailer. Her name is really Monica Tomeo. And then the other girl whose name is literally Edwin's babe is named Tammy Monica Gregarian or something like that. So she at least has her name in the cast, even though she had no lines whatsoever. So just
And
Yeah.
these two women were Ja Rule's groupies.
yes.
Wear your glasses.
It just makes me like if
In my
they were able to
suitcase.
get speaking lines. I've had
Yeah.
a dream for like the longest time to be an extra in one of these movies because like during this first race, it's like seeing like all the background extras. It looks like they're having a blast.
Yeah.
Like they're just like having a good time, like talking around, like like their cars and just like. I just want to be like that one person, like in the background, just
yeah.
with my hands in my pockets.
Have like a
that's-
map out, like you got lost.
Yeah,
and stumbled into drag racing.
Right.
No, for real. Those scenes when they have like the drag races and everybody's half naked and just having a ball, like, yeah, I would say out of all the parts of these movies, that's the only authentic part that I feel like I would love to be there or a fly on the wall to see what the hell's going on.
Right.
So during the drag race for Brian's car, Dom drops the beat and they take off. So Ken said the only part that's not believable in the movie is that the floor pan for some reason drops out of Brian's car, like the nuts and bolts rattle loose. And he's like,
Yeah.
why? That has no bearing on anything. And then he said, like, danger to the manifold isn't a thing. Like, that wouldn't be like a warning to him.
Why does he have a laptop in the car? That was
Because
confusing
he's
to
a
me.
cop, Danielle.
But the laptop,
I know it has the. Well, I know.
If you don't know, it's fine. I was curious.
No, he has it hooked up to his car so he can monitor. Usually you just have like a little machine and it tells you any faults that the car throws. And so you can kind of see if there's like misfires or things like that.
An
But-
OBD sensor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, Danielle.
how is the fire coming out of the back of the cars? Where'd that fire from?
Oh, Ken said you could make that happen, but you wouldn't want to, and that wouldn't just naturally happen at a drag. Like,
Oh,
just-
so that's fake.
yeah.
Okay. For
It just looks
effects.
cool. It looks cool.
Yeah.
I would be concerned if my car, like, I would think the car will blow up if fire is coming out the asshole. Like, did it have a burrito before it started the
The
race?
tailpipe. The tailpipe.
Is that what
the
that is?
asshole of the So, needless to say, not only did Brian not win the race, his car burns up. And Dom's like, you owe me a 10-second car. Like,
Well, it doesn't technically blow up then. He doesn't ruin it completely, right? He's still able to drive it afterwards because he saves Dom after this. It blows up when the street mafia, Johnny Tran and his group literally shoot it up with semi-automatics.
right. And Ken said what happens to the car is it throws a piston, and he's like, you wouldn't be able to drive that car afterwards. Like, it would be done. And the reason why the car blows up is because he has all of that NOS in it. And so when Johnny Tran is shooting it up, they hit a can of the NOS and it explodes. So Harry, not wrong.
And that's why Dom he shouts NOS, and then he gets in the car. And
So-
I'll just like to add about like this first race. I think like watching it on multiple rewatches, I think it's really well shot. Like it almost looks like an anime sequence. Like I like how with the speed lines and how like you're seeing like especially when Ja Rule gets passed up by Brian, you see you see like the frames kind of like go. It's you make it the way it's shot. It makes it seem like they're going like really fast, even though in reality they probably weren't. They're probably going like 25. So
I was very sad that at the end the actor Rick Yoon, his character Johnny Tran, is killed or he's murdered because he is so fine. And I felt like that, like you look at some of these characters in each movie and you're like, if they're not dead, can they come back? Can we bring them back? They're bringing back everybody. So I didn't remember rewatching this that Johnny died. And I was like, ooh, I remember how fine he was. I wonder if they'll bring him back. And then Johnny's bitch ass died. So
Yeah. So cops show. Oh, Dom asks Brian why he's smiling, and he's like, "I almost had you." Like he was real excited.
You almost had me.
Brian plays, I want to say this loosely, but Brian plays dumb real well.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just like a goofy golden
He's a
retriever.
puppy dog. Yeah.
It's I think like the common trope is fish out of water trope, and like Brian plays it. Paul Walker plays it really well, like in this movie.
It's not even just fish out of water. Like he just looks just happy to be there. You know, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So then the police show up. Everyone scatters. Dom has some secret parking garage he just parks in, and like, why not just hang out there for a little bit till the cops are gone? Like, he immediately walks out of the garage, starts walking, and then they know that Dom is in charge of this drag racing.
Right.
And so they're like, there he is. Like,
with his big old noggin, as if nobody was going to notice his shiny ass head in the mean streets of LA.
Put a hat on or something, Dom.
Right. He can't fit a hat.
And so the cops are after Dom, and Brian pulls up and rescues Dom, takes him back to the house. And Dom randomly tells him, or no, they have a conversation about like, has Brian ever did any time? And then like Dom reveals that Jesse's already ran a scan on him. Like he knows who Brian is. And then Dom said he did 2 years and he'll die before he ever goes back. So.
And when we see in the other movies, the 2 years is like juvie, essentially. Like he's young when that happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. It doesn't make it any less horrible. But the way that he talks about it, I'm like, oh, he really went hard. He was in prison, but he was young.
Just juvie.
Yeah.
So then this is where Johnny Tran and his motorcycle gang shows up, shoots up the Eclipse, it explodes, nos. And then they go back to Dom's house. There's a house party happening, and Dom's pissed.
As
He's
he
like,
should be.
All of you fuckers, like, just left me out to dry, didn't come to find me. My girlfriend's playing video games. Everyone else is just like partying.
Got
and you
women
don't know
making out with each other.
Exactly. And you don't know if I got picked up by the
Arrested or
police or not.
anything,
Yeah. So essentially he's like, this guy here, Brian, he's a ride or die. He came and he got me and he brought me back to the house.
I honestly don't think that it was fair that Brian had to drink Vince's nasty backwash. I would have been like, give me a new damn Corona. I don't want his, like, it's not like you're giving me his jacket or his car or something.
Yeah.
You're giving me his backwash. I don't want this shit. I don't know where his mouth has been.
Well, clearly we know where it's been because of that house party. It's been going down.
But also, part of just backing up to Johnny Tran's street gang, does anybody else recognize his henchman who's played Reggie? Yeah, Lance, who's played by Reggie Lee. Do you know where you've seen him? I've seen him on so many procedural dramas.
Like CSI. I think he's been on CSI like a couple of times.
I know he played a really bad guy on like Law and Order before. But so like seeing him in this movie in those like leopard, I don't even know, like snakeskin leather pants was trippy and made me laugh. Plus his face has always looked old. And so that kind of threw me off. But when I saw him, I just could not stop laughing when seeing him try to be like a bad guy. It just like doesn't fit. Like he's a bad guy in all those other shows, but not a leather pants wearing bad guy. So maybe it's just me. Never mind. Continue.
So, and Vince is like, you bring the Buster into the house? And Vince is like, or not Vince, Dom is like, the buster kept me out of handcuffs. And that is my
Vin Diesel.
Dominic Toretto impression. Nailed it.
You did nail it.
That's for social media right there. It's the TikTok content.
So, Mia is like, so Vince is getting like hype because Brian's there. And so Mia comes in and kind of is like, come get me a drink, and kind of gets him out of that situation. And Vince is going on and on about how he's an undercover cop. And then cut to the next scene, because at this point Brian's just happy to be there. Like, we don't know much about Brian. He likes tuna fish sandwiches without the crust. He's not a great driver, and he works at Harry's. Like, that's all we know.
Right.
So then cut to the next scene. It's at a freaking gorgeous mid-century modern house that has been seized by the police and is kind of being used as an FBI headquarters, makeshift headquarters. Sadly, because I had to research this house because I was in love with this house.
Before we get to that, we have Brian, the scene where Brian's getting arrested. And
yes.
I feel like when people first saw this and they didn't know that Brian was like a cop, like, this probably was a pretty interesting twist.
Yeah.
Where he gets arrested and they bring him to that house where it's
I don't know how, if you've seen Point Break.
Well, yeah, true. Like, if you haven't seen Point Break, then it was a twist for you. But if you have, it's like, I don't know. That's just something that I think was kind of like interesting. Like,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, Vince is right.
Yeah. So Brian's getting yelled at because he destroyed an $80,000 car. Obviously, he's working for the FBI. And I can't really figure out the correlation of, like, he has to be like a drag racer. Like, I know that they are going on their Honda Civics that are doing these robberies. And they seem like racing cars. But, like, really, Brian needs, like, to go out and race and, like, be a part of this culture to try and, like, I feel like there was a better way to solve the case.
Right. Like,
there's always a better way.
Just have them under surveillance. I don't understand why he needed to. And, like, usually when you're infiltrating a group like this, there's many layers and there's many organizations, and you're trying to figure out, because you don't understand the org chart of, like, how this is flowing and how this is going on. But just a random group going to, like,
a mom and pop operation,
right, to hold up a bunch of truckers does not make an undercover investigation.
And how many truckloads of items would they have to, like, steal to warrant not one $80,000 car, but, like, I'm sure they've paid for other things, and, like, they're using Harry as a front, and, like,
well, I think they explain the fact that it's the trucker industry that has put these formal complaints. So I'm sure, because Brian is LAPD, I guess, because I was always confused. I wasn't sure if he was FBI or a cop, but I guess he's LAPD. And because the truckers have put in a complaint, the FBI probably had to get involved. And that's why it's probably been leveled up. But again, does not need Brian to go undercover for it.
Well, it just, if he didn't go undercover, that would be one, and it wouldn't be an interesting movie.
Well, yeah, no, I mean,
yeah.
we get that, but, like, I'm glad they didn't make it about drugs, you know?
It just, like, in Point Break, they're robbing banks.
Right.
Like, they're getting cash money. Whereas, like, okay, but Dom, what do you do with the VCR afterwards? Like, you have to have a black market now, and, like, someone that's willing to buy this stuff. Like, it just didn't.
He put it on Craigslist.
See, if they had done that, if they had done, like, there is a black market that they're selling to, and that's what Brian's trying to get to, not even Dom and his gang. And let's say they finally were able to capture that guy, then the fourth movie could have actually made sense, because they could have said this guy was coming back for revenge or something like that, or like they messed up the pipeline or something. But they weren't forward thinkers like myself.
So Brian does request that he needs another car. The best they got on their budget is like a burnt up Supra, but it has a 2JZ engine in it. I bet you're wondering.
In that car?
I bet you're wondering, is that a good engine? Well, let me tell you, when I asked that question to Ken, he said, that's the engine. And he got real serious.
Oh, so, yeah, because when the guys saw it in the movie, they looked like they were about to go in the closet and whack one off. They were so excited.
Yeah. So apparently, very good engine. We see a little more of Jesse. He explains that he has ADD and is not really able to focus, and he's interested in math and science, but not anything else.
Which, by the way, I'm glad that you mentioned this like early on. This is probably my favorite part of this movie, because you don't get a lot of like as someone that has like undiagnosed ADHD, I'm sure it was like very nice to see like a movie like this representing this type of like disorder, like on the big screen. And like Jesse is like generally like a good guy, and like the stuff he does is like I don't know. I think that is like representation that we see in this film that we don't necessarily see in films of today. I'm talking about like ADD and like
and how he kind of describes that he hyperfixates on engines and things like that.
Right.
It's just, a neurodivergent character was very much appreciated. And that he kind of found his people that were willing to appreciate him for his skills.
Yeah, and it's very nice early on that you could tell that Dom, he not only takes care of his literal family and his girlfriend and his best friend from like third grade, but like he takes in strays. He takes in people who have no other place, and he is fiercely loyal to them no matter what. And it's reciprocated tenfold.
He's a foster parent.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah. Not trying to like downplay that, but I'm just saying. But
no, but they're like, I love stories with the found family. So
yeah.
But when you talk about Brian being undercover and his boss, who's just like, he's not yelling at Brian and whatnot. He seems like a father figure almost to Brian, and he's very patient. But is this the guy from Monk?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, I was like, his voice, his whole. I'm like, I think this is the guy from Monk, but he's not as agitated as he is on Monk. So I was like, okay, yeah.
See, that's the thing that is the weirdest thing about like all of these movies, is that all of a sudden you can see like an actor that you recognize. I'm like, why are you here? Like, why are you here in this weird movie about street racing or international terrorism now? It's like there's tremendous actors in it. And like we mentioned that Timothy Olyphant was supposed to play like Dom Toretto. I can't see that. Like, see Timothy Olyphant running around with freaking Paul Walker. I can't.
It would have been a totally different person other than Paul Walker if that was the case. But I would say that this movie isn't campy in comparison to all the other things that come afterwards. Everybody in this movie was legitimately trying to act in this one. Like, I was like, I don't remember this being this good, but I'm saying this with the knowledge of where we have come.
Well, you're saying this in 2023,
right?
With Fast X coming out. Yeah.
So we see Vince is still big mad that Brian is or now we're at the barbecue, right? And so Vince is really mad that Brian is at the barbecue. He's been invited. And after dinner, Mia and Brian are washing dishes, and he asks her out. And she says she doesn't date her brother's friends. And so Brian's like, oh, okay. But then Vince comes in, apparently has never worked a microwave before. Is trying to pop popcorn and is starting to go in on Brian again. So Mia did Vince dirty. She's like, well, what's the name of that Cuban restaurant you been wanting to take me to? He's like, oh yeah, Cha Cha Cha's. And she's like, yeah, Brian can take me there.
Ooh.
Like, move,
Oh.
savage.
Yeah,
She knew what she was doing.
Yeah,
She knew
poor
what she was
Vince
doing.
wanted to cry. Poor thing.
Well, maybe you shouldn't use the F word. Just
Yeah,
saying.
It's true.
Karma.
It's
Karma.
true. I'm trying to think of when this comes up. Brian, then, Hector comes into Harry's to order some car parts, and he needs 3 of everything, and they're 4 Honda Civics. So Brian's like, I've cracked this fucking case, which he wouldn't even need to drag race if he just worked at Harry's long enough. Someone was going to come in and order the parts for the Civics that were in the...
He drag raced because he wasn't able to slowly get into Toretto's gang, and he wanted to accelerate catching Dom's attention, essentially, since the first attempt did not work, I think, personally.
So this leads Brian to concoct a brilliant plan to break into Hector's garage.
The way that he's able to get up and go down a pipe thing, it's admirable.
You were impressed?
I was like, well, damn, that was fast.
So Brian is in Hector's garage, and he sees 3 Civics. No, sorry. There are Civics in there. He's checking them out, and then he is knocked out. Vince and Dom drag him out back, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you breaking into Hector's garage? And Brian plays it off as like, we want to know the competition for Race Wars. That's what it's called, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Problematic. Let's just say problematic.
Yeah. We need to workshop a different name for these drag races.
I will just say that Vin Diesel's production company in later films is One Race Films. So we all know where Vin Diesel lies.
Yeah,
Yes.
he believes that we all are one human race.
Yeah.
So Brian explains to Vince and Dom that there are 3 Hector has 3 Civics with spoon engines, which Ken did not know what a spoon engine was. He did look it up. He spent the entire time on his phone looking up how much cars are and then these engines. And so apparently it's a performance engine, and they're based in Southern California. So that is accurate as well. Vince still thinks he's a cop, but then they're like, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go break into Tran, see what he's got over there. So they break into Tran's shop, and there's no engines in any of his cars. And then Brian sees TVs and DVD players and VCRs just stacked in the corner of Tran's garage. So he's like, aha, I found them. Excellent. And then Johnny comes in, him and his gang have a guy at gunpoint, and then they're complaining that the cars were delivered with no engines, and where are engines? And the guy thought he was going to get one over on Johnny Tran, says they're in a warehouse. No, Johnny starts pumping oil into this man's mouth and just pretty much waterboarding him with oil. And he goes, they're in a warehouse. And then Johnny's like, okay, we got the information. Let him go. I'm like, but
what warehouse? Where is the warehouse?
I'm going to need details, sir.
See, if they're like waterboarding him with oil and they say like, oh, once they get the information, just let him go. He's not going anywhere. That dude's dead.
Yes.
Like, I just hope people didn't see this and say, oh, I'm going to do that shit for real.
Don't try this at home, kids. So he takes this information back to the FBI and he's like, but I need more hard evidence. Like, I wasn't able to get a box to match serial numbers. Like, we need more hard evidence. And the FBI is like, no, we got probable cause. We're going in after Johnny Tran. Like, SWAT busts into his parents' house while they're having a lovely dinner, like, scare the shit out of everyone, arrest Johnny, and then his dad comes up to him and slaps him while he's in handcuffs.
I believe it. Like, I think more than anything, Johnny was really upset that his, you know, that mess came into his family. Like, his dad didn't play. That's dishonorable for his family. And that's what his dad slapped him for. You brought dishonor to the family with this shit. Like, what the fuck?
And dare I say, just racial profiling, like, all around. Like,
yes,
it's just, it's all bad. It's all bad.
Yeah.
And do you know, during this entire scene that's happening, there's like a hard rock, hard metal like song. Is that Marilyn Manson like playing?
Oh, don't know.
I don't know. It was kind of an awkward like montage when the SWAT was coming in and like it was just kind of weird.
Also, like, how do they say they don't have anything on them? Those guys had automatic weapons. And I know in the rest of the country, there may not be strict laws, but California is definitely one of those states that has pretty tough gun laws.
Couldn't Brian just be like, they shot up my car and made it explode? Like, they could have had something that was police property that they shot up.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, you ain't got nothing on them? Okay. Yeah, it was dumb to go in after so quickly. Like, the FBI were so stupid.
Yeah, they needed to pump the brakes on that for sure.
No pun intended.
Heyo. Now Brian is taking Mia on their date. Vin, I keep calling him Vin. Dom says, you break her heart, I'll break your neck. And so he set the line. And then before they leave on their date, Dom's like, let me show you something. And they go into his garage, and it is the Charger that is behind me.
It's the black car.
Yes. And Dom tells him the story about him and his dad building it. He's never driven it. And his dad was
a race car driver.
Yeah. Like a circuit driver.
Yeah.
And so, and someone clipped him, put him into a wall, and his car caught on fire and he essentially burned to death, which unfortunately ended up being very similar to how Paul Walker ended up passing away. Was a similar situation. But Dom said that the reason why he had to go to jail or juvie was because he took a wrench and beat the guy who clipped him almost to death. And
but then in one of the other movies, we find out more information on that. So that's
it's in 9.
Yeah.
9. They actually like bring up. They actually film like the car wreck, and like that's basically the beginning of F9. Like the race where his dad dies, and I don't know if they show like Dom beating someone with a wrench in 9 because I don't remember that movie all that well. But
they show, yes, they do show him beating up the guy, and I know that they show him going to juvie. I know they show him like having an interaction with the guy. I don't know if they like got into like how violent it was, but there are parts of this movie that they had to cut out. Speaking of violence, because they wanted to get that PG-13 rating, because it was really close to being an R-rated movie. If they hadn't done that, this movie wouldn't have made as much money, because all those kids were coming to see this movie.
So I was wondering if they probably cut out like the violence, right? Like,
there were some scenes with Vince where they cut out like he was all bloodied and stuff like that. Yeah, there was quite a bit.
But waterboarding someone with oil, that's
right?
okay?
That's fine. This is America.
Okay.
Guns and waterboarding is 100% in our Constitution.
Yeah. You know what? We love guns. We love oil. So
Yes.
Makes perfect sense.
America.
yeah.
So Dom was banned from the tracks because of this incident. And so he lives his life a quarter mile at a time, meaning he can only drag race.
But I do like that thought process. Like, you know, don't try to overplan. Just take it one day at a time.
It's true.
And that line will forever be quoted and brought up in memes. And
So
like I said before, like the lines in this movie, I want to laugh at them so bad because they're so cheesy and
Mhm.
corny. But I have to respect them now because it's like yeah, they are corny, but it's like there's kind of a lot of thought like put into them. Like
Mhm. Plus, it's like Genesis of the Bible, you know, the beginning.
yeah. Let's not talk about like the Bible and Vin Diesel because we all know that with these movies he sees himself as Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, every archetype of a hero in these movies have some sort of reference to Jesus. We learned that in our sophomore high school English class. Shout out, Mr. Chandler.
Hello, Duke Chandler. Hope you're still living your best life on your boat.
Shucky darn.
Does he listen? Does he listen to the show?
We hope so. In our hearts.
That's the class where we met. So
Yeah.
hopefully.
That's cool.
So now Mia and Brian are on their date. She's talking about how like she compares Dom to gravity. Everything gravitates towards him. And Brian said, "No, you pulled me in. Friends with Dom is just a bonus."
Look at
And
them
then they wake
smooth
up
lines.
in Harry's stock room where Brian lives, ?
That's where he gets it on.
So he brings the ladies back.
I'm like,
Yeah.
so Brian doesn't have a home? What's happening here?
Well, he's
Because they-
undercover. He can't go
Yeah.
back to his actual home. So
Yeah.
this is where he
And he can't do it in Mia's room. Dom might come in.
That's true.
And haven't we all had sex in a stock room, you know? Yeah.
no comment.
No.
Oh, well, you know.
No comment.
Now there's a montage. There's car prep, the raid, and then Letty and Dom heavily making out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The way that he grabs her ass cheeks, I was like, let me go in the room for a second.
For Y2K, Jackie, that was the highlight of the movie, was that ass grab.
Peak
You-
cinema.
You couldn't wait for it to come out on DVD and you'll just rewind it.
Yes,
Rewind.
Like it looked like he was lifting a piece of paper. Like, how he do that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of cool because Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez were dating off screen during filming. Actually, the director of this movie said all of the leads were messing around with their counterparts. He's like, I don't really know all the details, but Paul had a huge crush on Jordana. I don't know if that like came to fruition, if they actually messed around or not, but yeah, love was in the air on the first.
Well, not trying to bring down the mood, but we all know kind of like
Right. We have
I won't go there. I won't go there.
No, it's fine. We should address that Paul, he had a lot
Interests.
He has a history of dating underage girls, and it's very problematic. And I think for all of us, when we have stars that we like them in their movies and they also have past, it makes it very difficult, but it's facts. We shouldn't avoid it. It's disturbing. And quite frankly, honestly, I just wonder if that would have come up more if he was still alive, because people still like, they make TikToks about it now. So everyone's very well aware of his problematic behavior. I mean, 16 years old, young girls.
And I hear Rob Cohen was pretty similar with like he had sexual misconduct like issues
The
after
director?
after this film. So that's something to just take note of, like when all this like yeah. it's unfortunate. It's
At this
unfortunate.
point, we can make a list of all the movies we've done with just it's just getting, there's so many people that are just ridiculous and disgusting, and Hollywood has a problem for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
So
it also doesn't surprise me either that like everyone in the cast probably did something, because just the way this film looks and just the type of people that are like especially like the whole stuff with Ja Rule and his groupies. It's like that was just the vibe of this
Right.
production, and I'm just like, yeah, this is kind of
not surprising at all.
Yeah, not surprising.
Hey, I'm Blake.
And I'm Dave.
And we're the co-hosts of First Prize Films.
It's a comedy podcast where we take two films of the same genre,
separated by at least a decade,
and battle them to the death.
Metaphorically.
Nope, literally.
God.
So if you want to hear two dickheads talk about genre movies,
and hopefully give you a couple laughs,
then search First Prize Films on your favorite podcast platform.
Or find us on social media at First Prize Pod.
We also stream every week on Twitch.
Swing by, chat movies, and tell us how fucking dumb we are.
Because we're pretty dumb. See ya!
Bye ya!
So where are we at now, Jackie?
So now we're after the raid at Johnny Tran's. The chief blames Brian for it, even though he was the one that was like, it's too soon. So he has 36 hours to get some concrete evidence, or they're pulling him off of the case.
And this is where he's really drilling Dom about like, I know you've got something going on and I want to be in on it. Yep. And Dom does not involve Brian whatsoever. Still,
I like that they bring up the typical trope. You've got 36 hours to solve this case,
right?
Exactly.
Or it's
or you're off the case.
It's all over. You give me turning your badge on Monday.
So what Dom does instead is invite Brian to Race Wars.
Right.
We call it something else.
That's also what they almost called the movie. It was one of the names that they had. Race Wars, Red Line, and Racer X were working titles for the movie. Thank God as much as we can't stand what's happened afterwards, it's way better than Race Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would not like these movies as much if it was called Race Wars.
Yeah, all of these are very racial, actually. Racer X, Red Line, and Race Wars. These were all problematic names.
I think there's actually a movie like that has cars in it called Red Line. It's not Fast and Furious related.
Oh.
Maybe it's a movie in the late 90s, early 2000s.
I hope not. No more cars.
So now we're at the race event.
And we see, what's the guy's name?
Jesse?
We see Jesse first we see Letty con a guy into putting in 2,000, I think like $2,000 or something to race her, obviously taking advantage of the fact that she knows that he probably doesn't think she can race because she's a woman, and she wins that real bad, which is hilarious. And then we see Jesse going to race his dad's car, who's in prison.
A Jetta. Yeah.
And obviously we know he's not going to win because Johnny Tran is who he's racing. So Brian is like, please don't do this. Like, this is a mistake. And so, of course, Jesse loses because he's inexperienced. I don't know where Dom was during this whole thing. And Jesse just keeps going. After he loses, he is out of there. So then, of course, Johnny Tran pretty much attacks Dom, blames him for the raid on his family's home, and Dom just being called a snitch in these streets, he caught them hands. But like, it's weird because Johnny, as he's getting his ass beat, at some points he's kind of smiling when Dom is pulled off of him. In this whole scenario, I mean, security comes and then Dom's team is taking the security off of Dom. And I do love how Letty just knocks Lance the fuck out.
Yeah.
When she sees him coming to try, she ride or die forever. It's like we made a list of the top ride or die women in movies. For their man, Letty is number one. Toxic as fuck, but 100% for her man. So then race wars apparently is over? Question mark? Because we never see Brian race, or like the way that they made this such a big deal.
And then we
don't
saw literally like 2 races and then we were done.
Right.
Well, I think like since Jesse like drives off because he doesn't want to give up his dad's car, I think that's kind of like stops everything.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone's kind of focusing on Jesse. But my question here is, how come they weren't expecting someone to drive off like that, like before? Like they're in a car
because
and they're going.
There's rules to the game. Like there's rules on these streets. But Jesse was like,
he got nervous.
Scared.
He
I'm
didn't know
in
what
love
to do
with Jesse's car. He didn't want to give it up. It
was his daddy's car.
His daddy's car. I mean, and then I guess they're back home because they're trying to find where Jesse is.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all looking for Jesse.
No, and they figured that he would be at home because.
Oh no, they're still at the race, but then Brian sees Mia and Dom get in a fight because Dom is leaving, and Brian pretty much is like, well, what the hell is going on? Because you guys are fighting and you're crying, and Dom leaving the race in the middle of this whole thing. And then Brian just confesses, like, look, I'm a cop, and they're in some trouble. Like
the drivers are arming themselves.
Right.
Like
this isn't gonna be good. You have to tell me where they are. I mean, Mia's pretty pissed, but she's also concerned about her brother. And Brian uses his police contacts to try to do a tracking on Dom's phone to see where they're at. Meanwhile, the team is getting ready for their next heist. And both Vince, who is you can't tell me that man's not a Cancer or a water sign, the way his intuition be on point. And even Letty's like, I don't think things are like, this doesn't feel right. And we shouldn't be doing it without Jesse.
Yeah. And they were a man down to begin with. And they're like, just shit feels wrong. And
right.
Dom's like, no, like this is the last one. And then we'll be good for a while. Much like Point Break, Vince gets severely injured attempting to rob this 18-wheeler because the driver does in fact have a shotgun. And
which random, by the way. I'm like, I understand like they're trying to protect their load, but it's like it's I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah.
And also I'll just have to add about like this heist, very extra effort to rob. It's like, why not wait for the truck to park and rob like when the trailer is, it's like, why do you have to rob like as the truck is moving with a harpoon gun? And I'm like, it's
extra,
very extra.
It's foreshadowing to, if you thought this was extra.
Can't wait to see what Ken has to say about these other movies.
Yes. Nor can I. So not only does Vince get shot, his arm gets wrapped around the harpoon cable and it's like all sliced up and stuff. So Brian shows up, helps out, calls for a helicopter. So Dom is now in the know. Brian is a cop and he is pissed. And then Brian's in the field with the helicopter loading Vince in. And then the rest of the gang is in one of the Civics. And they're like, come on, Mia, we got to go. And so Mia makes the choice to go with her brother and her family. And so then after that, they get home and Jesse comes screeching around the corner and he's apologizing to Dom that he knows he fucked up, but like he just got scared. And just as like Jesse is standing and apologizing to Dom, here comes Johnny Tran and one of his motorcycle guys, and they do a drive-by, and Jesse ends up getting shot and killed during this encounter. And Brian doesn't miss a beat. He hops in his car, he goes after them, and then Dom, or actually it was Dom
is getting in his car,
Yeah.
and Brian is like trying to stop him, and before this even happens.
Yeah.
And then they both are like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Now, what I think is interesting or worth mentioning is that Brian's captain, or whoever his boss is, tells him that it seems like Brian is conflicted as to where his loyalties lie, and that everyone gets to pick their family. And so he needs to choose what that is, if it's Dom or the police force, essentially. So it's like one of the many mentions of family in this whole series. And in this interaction, you could see that that's what Brian is doing. He is choosing who his family is, really, by helping out Dom and to go after Johnny Tran.
He cares about Dom because of everything that they've been through. And like, he knows that Dom isn't like the guy that like these
the
people
cops think he is.
Yeah.
And so they go after Johnny Tran and his other minion, and they get dusted. They're killed. R.I.P. Johnny. But while they're in the scene behind Jackie, Dom says, when this light turns green, I'm out. You good luck trying to catch my ass.
It's a quarter-mile stretch.
It is. It's where he used to race in high school.
So they're essentially racing each other. And even though essentially Brian should be chasing Dom, he's just having the time of his fucking life.
And a train is coming.
Right.
Just to up the anticipation.
Yeah.
So they both make it, but then Dom in his celebration has locked eyes with Brian as they are both driving like 100 miles an hour, and a semi pulls out
and clips him.
Isn't that karmatic justice? And Dom clips him, flips the charger. And Ken did say he would be dead because that car has a roll cage, and you can see when Dom's sitting in it, the roll cage is like right level with his noggin, and he wasn't wearing a helmet or anything. He's like, his head would have cracked open like an egg. The exact Ken Fleur words used. So there are, you can hear sirens in the distance. The cops are closing in on them. And so Brian gives him the super keys and says, I owe you a 10-second car. So Dom takes off, and then the movie just ends with Brian like slow-mo walking.
Well, they had another ending with Brian and Mia making out, which is funny because Jordana Brewster totally forgot that she even filmed that scene. But I guess they must have known they were doing the second movie and they needed Brian to kind of be on the run. So they changed the ending.
Well, that is Fast and the Furious. The Fast and the Furious.
Fast and the Furious. Just a few more fun factoids. Rob Cohen's original casting choices for this movie were Mario Lopez as Dom, Mark Paul Gosselaar as Brian, and Dustin Diamond as Jesse. I just don't.
Did he just say that cast works? We'll just insert them in this racing movie.
However, studio execs feared that the reteaming of the Saved by the Bell co-stars would confuse audiences. So Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, and Chad Lindbergh were eventually cast in the roles, obviously. But I don't know if he was high. I would love to see that movie because that sounds fucking hilarious to me. But also ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I would like to see that movie too. Anything with Dustin Diamond in it, that would be wild. Maybe there's a short film out there.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an alternate universe where that actually happened, because I'd love to see it. I also think it's really interesting that Jordana Brewster and Michelle Rodriguez did not have their driver's license before getting this movie, so they had to, I mean, everyone took lessons, but they did not have their license starting, so I think that's hilarious. And I know we talked about the title of this movie. It turns out there was another film, The Fast and the Furious, from 1954, so that the studio ended up buying the rights, the title rights of the movie. It was also about racing, but totally different premise.
Are we ready for ratings?
Yeah, I think so. The rest are a bunch of car facts, and I think we've had enough. But before we get
well, let's just read them. Let's just read them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Before we get into our ratings, Marley, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social and listen to your podcast?
You can follow me pretty much anywhere at Marley Loves Film. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Letterboxd at Marley Loves Film. It's the username. And people can listen to my podcast, The Real Livers Podcast, anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. So
awesome. And you should definitely check it out. And if you have any questions for us, or you just want to check out our socials, head to No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Marley, I will start with you with your present day ratings of this film.
I knew this was coming. I can't rate my family. Like, how
are you kidding me?
Rate my family?
Yes,
it's 100%. A 5-day rental. It's a 5-day rental.
All right, a 5-day rental. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm right there with you. I was entertained. I was not bored. I was surprised that the acting wasn't as bad as I envisioned it to be. And I wasn't dreading watching it. I was dreading watching it before it started, but then when it started, I was like, you know what? This isn't bad.
It could have been worse.
It has gotten worse. Jackie?
I'm still with it. I bought it. At first, I was like, oh, do I really have to buy this movie? And then afterwards, I'm like, fair, I bought this movie. So yeah, it gave me the same feels it did when I was
tearing out of the parking lot, the Dollar Theater.
Exactly.
Jackie seeing sirens in a rearview mirror.
1/4 mile at a time, baby.
Another Fast and the Furious, boys. Get her.
So if you have opinions, want to tell us how you first experienced Fast and the Furious, what your favorite in the franchise is, if you consider Hobbs and Shaw canon or not, hit us up at the Quick Drop 909-601 and MLF 909-601-6653. You can twat us at the Twitters or leave a message on our Spotify for Podcasters account. I hate that name. And you can be featured on a future episode.
Well, join us next week as we hit the streets again, y'all, with the Italian Job. Fuck these cars.
How perfect for you to do that movie next.
At least they're all pretty much Mini Coopers, so I don't have to ask Danielle, what's that car?
Red.
Red car, blue car.
Marley, we're so thankful that you joined. We are so thankful of all the support that you show our podcast. Like, honestly, we're so glad that we've become friends, but your support has meant so much to us. Hearing your feedback, your laughter, it really makes us feel good that we're doing a good job. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you for having me. This is a pleasure. I'm really glad that we can talk about family on this episode. And like, I'll just have to change what you just said there. We're not friends. We're family.
Fucking can't. Jackie, roll the clips.
And be kind and rewind.